What's up, YouTube? Porsche here with a channel update. Today we're going to talk about the outgoing GTR. We're going to talk about the incoming sports car. We're going to talk about the Z4M Coupe. Stay tuned. All right, so I think it's been something like 2 or 3 weeks since I made a video, and I already know, my channel is not super popular, so it's not like I've got people messaging me saying, "Hey, bro, where are your videos?" But um, I kind of like to think that maybe sometime in the future, maybe my videos could become more popular, or just the fact of people that are really interested in the McLaren 600 LT that have been watching all the videos I did on that may kind of be looking at the progression of everything I was doing with that and about that car basically. And so this is also about this video is about that car among a lot of other things. So let's just kind of start at a earlier stage, which is the my 2014 Nissan GTR is sold. It's completely sold. It's gone. I did a video about it like 3 weeks ago. It was a terrible video. I know it was a bad video. I think I said I let everyone know that unfortunately the what I consider to be the good video version, the audio was desynced. I don't know why. My cell phone did it, and just a big pain in the butt. I tried syncing it, and unfortunately it wasn't like the audio was off by like 5 seconds and I could just adjust the whole video. It was like getting more out of sync as time went by, which would require a whole bunch of work, or maybe some software I don't know of, and I just was really over it. And I had so also December is the busiest month of the year for me for my job. I own a computer company and we sell stuff on the internet, and making videos is very difficult for me because if you think about the process of making a video and actually going from nothing to something on YouTube, it's a lot of work. Minimum 2 hours, and I know a lot of people spend 5 hours just editing alone. I don't do that because I don't have time to do that. But anyway, even 2 hours is a lot of time for me, even once a week during December. But during January next month, I'll probably be making a lot more content. But okay, so GTR is gone, and let's talk about the Z4M Coupe. So the Z4M Coupe is the current vehicle still in my garage. It's the project car, and as you might guess based on what I just said, it hasn't gotten a whole lot of love lately because of work for me. My work's just been very busy, which is totally fine that it's busy. If it wasn't busy and I had time to work on that car or make videos, that would be a bad thing. But there is some other progress as far as parts and things like that. So I did get a quick jack. Man, it's been a while since I did that. I got a quick jack so I can work on the car in my garage. I got a set of European CSL headers, which are very, very hard to find. And they're gorgeous looking. They're made by BMW. And then in addition to that, I got the European high flow cats. So when you use the European high flow cats, it's a lower cell count catalytic converter. You use those in conjunction with either the regular Euro headers or the CSL headers, and you can basically take out your stock headers and your stock cat pipe, and from the best what I've heard, everything I've heard, you can actually pass emissions still, and it doesn't throw any check engine lights, and it gives you a whole lot better sound and a lot more horsepower. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I've got a bunch of buddies that want to come over and drink some beers and get dirty in the garage, that kind of thing, and get those things installed. So I've got that. Still have not carbon fibered the hood. The roof, I should say. I haven't done any repairs on the tail damage. I did get that intake installed a while back. I think I mentioned that, and it sounds amazing. I got some fender liners in, and I still have some other parts I need to get on the car and more work to do. But I have been driving it a little bit, and my first reaction to driving that car after going from my GTR and literally within minutes to that car is it didn't feel very fast to me. It was a very disappointing feeling. The GTR is just so damn fast. I mean, it's hard to compare cars to that. So but I got used to it, and the more I drove it, the more I kind of got that love back that I had years ago when I had test driven one. So great car, and yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. It handles really well, and I definitely want to use it as my beginner track car. So I want to learn how to drive better and maybe take some classes or lessons, whatever you want to call it, and go to the track at least a couple times a year, theoretically more. You know, this I'm hoping that 2019 will be a year for me to get outside a little bit more and away from work. So going off-roading with my truck more, going to the track more with my cars, and you know, maybe even going out with friends more, to be honest with you. Let's move on from there. So the big topic that I want to talk about today is the next car. So the discussions on everything I've been doing so far had really been leading towards the fact that I wanted to get a McLaren 600 LT. And actually, now that some time has gone by, there have been some people that have received their 600 LTs. I know that Hennessy Performance has had theirs for, I think it's been 3 weeks now, maybe a month. I think they said they were the third customer to receive their 600 LT. Anyway, so let's talk about that a little bit more. So I've made a lot of videos about the 600 LT, and to basically convince myself that the 600 LT was the car that was for me, I did a lot of research and made some videos about Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari, and then I also did GTR and Corvette. So, you know, I think that my conclusion on all that research was that I was still wanting the 600 LT. Fast forward a month later to today, and things have changed. First of all, the year's not over, so I don't know how obtainable the 600 LT is going to be for me next year. But the more I think about it, the more it makes me a little bit nervous. I think that I could buy it, but that I would have to dip so far into my company, my business's money that I use for purchasing product, that it would kind of hamstring me for next year in business, so that it would make it harder for me to continue the progress I want at work. So that's just my guess. You know, like I said, the year's not over. There's still a lot, you know, was 2 weeks left till the end of the year. But it started to feel like, you know, it's a lot of money, and especially going from a GTR to something that's that expensive, it's just a lot of money. But something more important, I think, came up even than just the money. I started thinking a lot more about my style, who I am, and maybe my confidence with this car that you see right here in my desktop background, the 600 LT, the whatever you want to call them, Lamborghini style doors, the flat and all the flash that comes with an exotic like this. And I don't think I'm ready for it. I think it's a little bit too much for me right now at this point in time. I think that all three major exotic brands that you would consider, that I would be considering, that are the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, and the McLaren, I think that all three of them are a little bit too flashy for me. And I started thinking about I'm not all about what people think of me, but what people think of you, and based on what you show them, it can cause problems too. You can put yourself into situations that you don't want to be in, and a car like this really just screams, I'm rich. And I'm not rich. Well, my opinion is I'm not rich. I know some people would think I am, and some people think that, you know, someone that makes $40,000 a year is rich too. Everyone has a different opinion about what that phrase means, but I don't want people to think I'm rich, and I'm not rich. And maybe one day I will be what I consider to be rich. And even when I am, if I do get to that point, I don't want people to think I'm rich. But I feel like I'd be a little bit more comfortable driving a car that a rich person should be driving if I actually was rich. So I kind of just looked at this whole thing again, and I've had a lot of like an internal battle, like, who cares what other people think? Because I really don't. And I mean, that's why I wear hats and, you know, t-shirts and shorts every day, because it's comfortable, because I'm not trying to impress anyone, right? So this car, the 600 LT, is definitely a car that is going to impress everyone, which is fine, but I don't know if I want all that attention. I don't know if I want, you know, all the pictures and the people hassling me at the gas station and all that stuff. And a lot of people would be like, well, you shouldn't be driving it on the street very much anyway, which is another big thing. Whatever sports car I get, I'm gonna drive it as much as I can. I'm not gonna be like, oh, oh, I can only put 1,000 miles on it. I'm trying to keep it a collector's item or whatever you want to say, or only for the track. No, I would, whatever car I'm going to be buying is going to be a daily, basically a daily driver. Even if it's not a car made for daily driving, I want to daily drive it. So this is where things started to change and where my mindset started changing. So the first thing that happened really where I started thinking about this stuff more was I realized, well, I'm so set on the McLaren 600 LT, but I've only looked at stuff on paper. I need to go sit in a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and a Porsche, and a McLaren, and get the feel of the cars and drive them and all that jazz. So the first dealership I went to was a Porsche dealership because there's one that's like 5 minutes away from my house, so it's convenient, right? So I just went over there, just looking, and I had been in contact with the sales guy actually from one of my videos. He's awesome, really good guy, and he showed me some cars, and I ended up. They don't let you test drive a lot of cars there. It's, the cars I'm looking at, GT3 RSs and GT3s and all that stuff. They don't. They usually don't test drive them. They try to keep it super exclusive, and basically what I got lucky. They ended up having a 2016 GT3 RS, which is the 991, not 991.2, not Gen 2 of 991, but first gen. All this stuff I've learned now as I've done research. But so I drove that, and I kind of didn't want to like it, because I've driven other Porsches before, and was not impressed with them at all. I've driven maybe 3 Porsches. I think they were all like Carrera 4S's. I've never driven a turbo 911. I've driven a Cayenne Turbo S before too, and that was pretty sick. But I've driven, I guess, 3 911s, and they're all more like Carrera lower models. But I did not like them at the time. And I didn't. It's not like I was driving a GTR at the time either. I think I was driving a 350Z, and I was just like, wow, this feels really slow. This is not impressive feeling. I didn't like it at all. So yeah, I remember I even drove the 4S I drove with stick, and it just didn't feel good. So I was honestly not really ever considering Porsche very much from the beginning. But I figured, well, everyone seems to like how they drive, and they've got a lot. A lot of people love them, and they hold their value and all this stuff. So let's go drive one. So I drove that GT3 RS as I mentioned, and man, really, really great feeling car. It was not what I was expecting. I'm like, well, it's only 500 horsepower. It's not. There's no turbos or supercharger. It's just naturally aspirated. It's not stick shift. All these things that I was just like things that I knew, things I wouldn't normally like. That made me think I'm not gonna probably like the car, but give it a shot. And all of those things pretty much proved me wrong. I I still would prefer manual transmission, but it's not available in any of the RSs. It's not an option. So that's not even something to talk about. But um, the lack of torque. So I think it's like 500 horsepower for the 991, not the point 0.2, but the 991 is only 500 horsepower, and I think the torque is only like 380 or something. So it definitely doesn't have a balanced, very similar torque and horsepower like a lot of other cars do, especially the turbocharged cars these days. A lot of them have a lot more torque, so it had a little bit of a lack of torque, and I thought that I might be feeling that a lot. But and I also know that it revs really high, so I kind of was thinking this might feel more like my M Coupe, or a rotary motor, where you have to be really high in the revs to make it feel fast, and it didn't. It felt good all across the whole power band. It felt really nice. The crazy racing seats felt awesome. They're not adjustable in any way. They just slide forward and back. They don't have can't go. You can't do even my computer chair. This is a really sweet computer chair. This thing can do more stuff than that seat does, but it's also a carbon fiber race bucket. It um the excuse me, the Alcantara all felt really nice, and I just really fell in love with the car. I wasn't pushing it very hard because it was a test drive and I was trying to be polite. And it's not my car, right? So but it had a great feel, and I really thought of, and I even after I drove it, I wasn't like, oh, this is my new thing, but because I was also kind of anti Porsche in my head from the beginning, and also anti Porsche because of the markups, right? So I had a lot of stigmas going on in my mind, and the more I thought about it after the drive, and I knew how much I liked it, the more I realized maybe this is actually the car for me. So I did a lot more research, and yeah, it is probably the car for me. So I I started like the things I was researching was is there a way for me to get a brand new 991.2, which has more power. So 991.2 GT3 RS. Is there a way for me to get that for a price not so inflated because of dealer markups? Because the dealers are marking them up about $30,000 to $50,000. And there's a sick one at the showroom by me here in San Diego. That's black with lizard green trim around the wheels, and then lizard green accents on the interior. It's really awesome. But because of the sticker price, the markups, it's $255,000. Which then at that point I'm like, well, that's the 600 LT. There's no point in me. I don't really want to get a Porsche that's the same price. I want to spend less. So the used the 991, which is a 2016 model of the GT3 RS, that's really what I think is the sweet spot for me, and that's what I test drove. So there's no markup, and you're just paying a market price, and it should be holding its value, and that's really what I'm looking for. I think I'm kind of looking for a baby step between my GTR and something like a McLaren, something that's going to get me a little bit more used to driving something fancier, I guess you could say, or a little bit more exotic without being a true exotic. Just it's a step up toward that, something like a McLaren, but it's not that big step. And also at the same time, not having, if let's say that I buy it and I like it, but then work goes really well and I have the money for the McLaren, and I decided I want to do it now. I'm not going to lose a whole bunch of money driving on a GT3 RS. They just don't. I mean, they hold their value really well. If you go look at a 2016 GT3 RS, there's actually a lot of them out there for sale right now, but you can't really find a good one for less than 180 grand. So there's a few that I found that are less. There's one in Texas that's 174 and it's orange. And there is one in Canada for 165, but it's in Canada, so you have to pay all these taxes if you bring it over. And it has 15,000 miles. And I'm learning all this stuff now about the GT3. I know I could talk about this stuff for over an hour now with all the information I have, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit more simple for you guys. So there's the things that you have to look at if you're gonna shop for one of these. It's really the carbon ceramic brakes. They're a $10,000 option from the factory when you get the car, but almost every single one will have them. And the way you can just usually see it right away is if they have the yellow brake calipers. And that usually means it's carbon ceramic, unless there was some paint done over the ceramic brake. God, I can't talk. I apologize. Some people will paint that yellow caliper, the ceramic caliper, into another color. So I've seen one car with that painted, even though it's ceramic still. But if you see a red brake caliper, that means that it does not have the carbon ceramics. And as much as I wouldn't care for myself, the resale value is definitely different when they don't have the carbon ceramics. And the carbon ceramics sell for at least $15,000 used if you want to upgrade from a non-carbon ceramic brake set. So all these little things. I'm looking at mileages, I'm looking at the carbon ceramics, and then like the other the carbon fiber bits and pieces on the cars, like you'll see some of that stuff in the chrono package, and you'll see the better headlights, and you'll see let's see that there's a bunch of little the front lift. Almost everyone will have the front lift, which is something I would want. But there's all these little options, and some of them are a better option than others, and some of those options are really important for when you go to resell it, and the mileage is pretty important. I'm more hoping to get one that's around 10,000 miles, which is pretty high. For what most of them are more around like 2,000 to 5,000, even though they've been out for 3 years, because people baby them and they are all about the resale value. But I'm gonna drive it, so I think that really the one I'm looking at the most right now, and maybe I'll buy it. I don't know, but the one I'm thinking about the most is a white one. It's down in San Diego, and it's certified pre-owned, so it has a warranty, which is really nice. And they're asking 180 on it. And obviously I'd hope that I could talk them down a little bit, but they told me this, and I think they're right. They are the cheapest certified pre-owned in the nation. There are cheaper cars out there, they're just not certified pre-owned, and when it's certified you get an extra warranty, and a warranty on a car that is this expensive is worth a lot of money. If a transmission breaks or something major goes wrong, I mean, you're talking, could be $30,000 repair that you're forking over. So I've been learning a lot about these cars, and that's where things got a little bit weird for me, because I was pretty set, okay, GT3 RS 2016, the 991 is probably the right fit for me. That's what I drove. I think it's in my wheelhouse for affordability. I think I can afford it right now. And then things started getting a little bit weirder. Like, oh, what if I could get the new one without the markup? I started trying to talk to German dealerships to see if maybe they could sell direct to me, and I could fly over there, do the European delivery, and maybe get a no markup car. And that doesn't work. Just so you know, they can't sell to the United States, and they don't have them in stock either. They say. So there's that idea I had, and then there was um, the other thing I was thinking of. I still want to get my used car sales license, and this is another option I'm still looking at it. So if I buy one, maybe early January, I get my used car sales license. I can own it throughout the year and sell it before the end of the year, so I don't have to pay tax on it, and then I don't have to pay taxes on the car, which is going to be a lot of money. It's like, what is that, it's going to be something like $14,000 in taxes that I could save if I got my used car sales license next year. So I really should do that. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? And then sell it before the end of the year. So there's that I want to also do, and that's going to hold me up from buying one right now, because I have to get a location first and get my license first. And then the other thing I've been looking at is, well, maybe what's the difference between, I started looking at what's the difference between the GT3 RS and then the GTS and even the GT3. And I really like the new 991.2 GT3, because you can get it in manual and they're going to hold their value so well. But they're really hard to find, and the same problem with the dealer markups are going on. So it just, now I'm looking at, they're 180 to 200 grand for the GT3, if you can even find one in manual too. And that's just a huge, the 30,000, another $30,000 markup. So they're going to hold their value, yeah, but they don't hold their value as well because you paid that huge markup, and I don't like that. And I don't like paying this huge markup. So, that's I would, if I could pick any of the Porsches and there are no markups, I probably would just go straight for a GT3 manual right now, because I think it's going to hold its value the best. I think it might even appreciate if I had to guess, but that's just me. So then the other thing I started looking at was the GTS, and so the GT3s are without options are 140. All right, let me start at the top. The GT3 RS is about 190 with no options, no ceramic brakes. 190, right? So, and this is for the new ones. So 190, and then it goes to 140 for the GT3 with no options, and then it goes to about 120 for the GTS. And originally in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, the GTS, I'm not interested in that. But they actually threw in, and I didn't realize this, they threw in a twin turbo three cylinder. They threw in a 3 liter flat six with a twin turbo on it. So it's basically like a mini or a baby turbo, 911 turbo. The turbo makes 540 horsepower. The GTS makes 450 horsepower. So it's a lot less horsepower, but you can spend $1,500 on a Cobb tune and you're almost right back up there with the turbo. And so that was something I started to think about was, oh, maybe, and you can get the GTS in manual. So you could get a manual GTS, 450 horsepower, and it also has about 450 torque. So it's very torquey. And then you can throw a Cobb tune on it and you're up at over 500 pounds, over 500 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds, and you can probably get an exhaust and a couple other things, and all of a sudden you're in turbo territory and even turbo S territory, and you spent a lot less money and you got a manual transmission. A lot of cool things going on with that idea. But so I started going down that rabbit hole, and a lot of people love the GTS, but you also, to get it similar performance spec as the GT3 or GT3RS, you have to spend a lot of money on options. So the 120 quickly turns into 140 or 150, 160. And on top of that, finding one is also just as hard as the GT3 and GT3RS. And I don't know about dealer markups, but I'm assuming there are. And everything got confusing again. So I'm pretty confused on all the Porsches, and I know that at this point I need to just stop thinking so hard and probably just buy one. And so what's really holding me back again is if I get my used car dealership license, and what's holding me back from that is my regular job is taking a lot of my time. So I've kind of got this vortex of stuff going on where I want the Porsche, I want to make more videos, I want to get my used car sales license, but work is this big thing that's really holding me up, and I have family and stuff, so it's tough. Anyway, I think I'll cut the video over there, and appreciate you guys listening to me. So I'll keep you posted as I look at more Porsches. I'm the type of person that might just get the itch so bad that I just go buy one, and maybe I talk to my accountant and I'm able to move some stuff around so that when I do get my used car sales license, I can get the tax back next year on taxes with that business I start. So I'm gonna look into stuff like that too. But I'm gonna leave you guys. Appreciate you watching. I hope you like the content. The view being kind of getting the view of the person looking at supercars for the first time and the thoughts that go through my head that I'm sharing with you. So if you like this stuff, do the typical thing that all the other people tell you to do, which is the subscribing and the thumbs up. Hit the like button if you can. I appreciate it. And as I mentioned, I'm gonna try to make a lot more videos. And I always say that, but that's the intent. So you guys have a good day. Thanks.